Bernadette Lee, my co-host, my cohort, my co-pilot on most days, continues her tradition of transparency in local government with Lafayette Live. Joining us today, Jay Castille from Lafayette Parish, Lafayette Consolidated Government Parish Council.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, Lafayette City Parish Council.
I mean, I don't know how this guy has a business card. He should have a business sheet of paper. You need a business piece of loose leaf.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Oh, we making it. It's Wednesday, so that's nice. So last night, about a 3-hour meeting overall?
Yeah, it's not too bad. We got out there about 8:30.
Yeah, it's not so bad. All right, now let's talk about, oh boy. All right. Let's talk about the council and funding for the 15 JDC. All right, so y'all voted 7-1 last night was the vote. You're cutting $500,000 from the 15th Judicial District Attorney's Office. So what was some of the discussion like, and why in particular did you vote to have this happen?
Well, we had some, we got a budget issue with the parish side of the budget, and we looked at the entire budget, and we kind of scrubbed it to see exactly where we can make cuts. We didn't want to cut the DA's office or the criminal court fund. But after looking at everything that we had and all the mandates that we had from the state on parish government, that was the only thing in the general fund that we were able to make immediate cuts to, was that fund there. Mm-hmm. And, we looked at the funds that he's taken in and the criminal court fund, and there seems to be a sizable amount of money there that could be used to subsidize his department like the old DA had done. Mm-hmm. So we decided to go ahead and make that cut.
So basically, Mike Carson had used other funds within the DA's office to cover salaries and benefits, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now Keith Stutes is saying, no, I believe that y'all are required as a city parish government, that y'all are really mandated to do this.
Right. We're required to fund the DA's office and the judges, the 15 JDC, by statute. But it also says reasonably, and that word reasonably it's interpreted two different ways. Yeah. He interprets one way and we interpret another. I mean, if we don't have the funds to pay, then what becomes reasonable? You want us to bankrupt the parish just to go ahead and fund your department? But we can't do that. We have other obligations, mandated obligations. Mm-hmm. So, we looked at it, we balanced it out, and his funds that he has available, it can more than well pay the shortfall in his department throughout the rest of this budget year. And then when the new budget comes around, we can sit down and negotiate and see what the parish can afford and what where he can pitch in to try to help.
Now, it's going to go to court, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to court on the 14th. It's a couple of issues. He's saying that, the city of Lafayette is part of consolidated government, so it should be the parish and the city pitching in to do this, which I disagree with 100%. Mm-hmm. But we're going to let the judge decide. The city of Lafayette pays their fair share in property taxes and parish taxes, just like every other city in the parish, mm-hmm. Including unincorporated areas. It's not just the city and unincorporated areas. It's the whole parish. And I think it'd be very unfair for the city of Lafayette to have to step in and pay extra. It's just not something I think is fair for anyone.
As a council person, are you wondering about how the budget was done previously? And which positions have been changed other than the obvious one? Mr. Harson used to be the DA. Now we have Keith Stutes. But I wonder if there was any internal thing within the DA's office, and is too much money being spent in another area? Are those some of the things you're wondering about?
Well, I'm not really concerned about where the DA is spending his money. That's his job, his priorities. He does what he wants. He's an elected official. I just have a hard time when someone has such a bankroll, such a sizable bankroll as what he has, and to tell me, you're going to fund me regardless, no matter how much money I have in the bank. I got a problem with that. That's taxpayers' money that I'm dealing with. He's dealing with fines in his diversion program, which he doubled and almost tripled in cost to enter it. So he's making a ton of money with that. And we're supposed to be in this together. The judges are working with us. Everybody else is working together. And he just seems to be very demanding. You can't send me 5 letters and everything is in caps in bold letters. You fussing at me, and I don't really care for that very much.
Yeah.
Come to my office, sit down in front of me, and we can talk. But that was never an option. He never made that attempt. He never called to come sit down and talk. He just, send the letters and demand. And then we're going to do the right thing by the people that we represent. It's taxpayer dollars. We're not just going to go ahead and do it just because he said it needs to be done.
Well, and then having you say that, there were members or folks from the DA's office sitting in the audience. Nanette Cook is quoted in The Advocate as saying it's very uncomfortable because she asked Keith Stutes what might become of the employees, some of them there, if she did vote in favor of the cut. And then Stutes said after the meeting that he's going to cover the salaries with the discretionary funds, at least for the near future. He said, how long can we do that? And he said that I can't tell you. So, it's not, these people are not out of a job this morning.
Correct. I have friends at the DA's office. This is not something that's really easy for me to do. That's a tough thing to do. We're not going to fire any employees. He's doing that. That's his. He brought this thing up. He's the one who decided not to go ahead and pitch in and pay those salaries. So bringing the employees there last night was a political stunt by Mr. Stutes. That's something that was done in the old days. I guess he thought it was going to work again last night. But we're serious up there. We have a job to do, and we're going to do it. And like Mr. Boudreaux said, he has a lot of personal friends because he used to work there. So it wasn't an easy thing to do. But, Mr. Stutes needs to realize that, these employees that he needs to pay them. Those are extra employees that were put on payroll. The parish couldn't afford them back then, still can't afford them today. That's why Mr. Harson was good enough to go ahead and step up and pay those salaries and benefits. If you don't work together, it ain't going to work at all. And that's one thing that he just doesn't understand. He keeps saying it, but he's not doing it,
Okay. Where do you think that leaves you guys in terms of what happens with the courts? We're gonna have to spend money, obviously, as taxpayers. And then when the decision's made, it's made. If the judge were to say, no, you guys have to put this $500,000 back, where would you magically come up with that money?
To be honest with you, I couldn't tell you. If we had to come up with that type of money to go ahead and cover the shortfall of the balanced budget from other areas, I could see we're going to be closing down recreation parks and centers. I can see possibilities. There's a whole slew of things that, like I said last night, there's mandates from the state, but there's also hidden mandates. And, when you shut down a park, you cut the grass, the grass gets long, the electricity goes off. Mm-hmm. The criminals start coming in, drug deals start happening, people start getting nervous, then the DA gets busy again, then the judges get busy again. Mm-hmm. It's a cycle. I said, but we can't continue down that road. We know we have a shortfall in the parish fund. We are working on trying to get something to the voters, and we just asked Mr. Stutes to step up and do his part, but he just seems to refuse to want to do that.
Okay, and finally, we talked to Councilman William Terrio last week about his resolution of only having tax items, if we're going to do tax items, only doing it in the fall when it's a general election so that we don't have to pay, for these elections where hardly anybody goes to vote. So it's a resolution only, so it's not like you're not bound by law, but there was kind of a compromise last night.
Well, Ms. Hebert amended his resolution to have the opportunity to vote twice a year in March and in general election, which is pretty common on when you bring up these types of tax issues because of the process of the tax issue. Once a year would be detrimental to the government. Government moves so slow as it is. If you do this once a year, if the administration misses 1 month, and it pushes us into the next year, then we screwed, because we can't go back to the voters till the next year. I mean, as strapped as this government is, we need the tax dollars, and that's how we provide services. So, if we miss a month and we get screwed, then people get screwed, and that's not a good thing. I supported it, 2 times a year. That's just, like it says, resolution's not binding. The state statute allows us to do it 4 times a year.
Right.
If we need. But it showed good faith on one hand, but we still have an opportunity to go 4 times a year if we need. And the low turnout thing, that low turnout thing that he mentioned.
Yeah. I'm
gonna be honest with you. I threw an example out at him last night. When he got elected in the primary election, 40% of the people turned out in his district. It's not a good turnout, but it's a high turnout for around here. And then the general election was happening in November the next month, only 18% turnout. So a low turnout can be at any time, no matter if it's in the spring or in the general election. So you never know. So you really can't base it on that low turnout issue.
Lafayette City Parish Council Chairman Jay Castille has been our guest this morning. Sir, thank you very much for being so candid, and we certainly always appreciate your time.
Thank you.